We're in March 2010. They've just come in. They've told me that they have to take the kidney out. I'm devastated. But I want to be here. I want to raise my child. I got to keep pushing. I got to keep going. Does that mean I'm going to be back on dialysis? Yes. Well, after they take the kidney back out, do sew me back up, go back to recovery, well, dialysis again. This time, they lay me back. They sedate me some, but I'm up. And I'm guessing, I want to say maybe it was this side. They go into my neck and they put in a perm catheter. A perm catheter is like the tip of it is near your heart. So, and they're very prone to infection. Well, we learned that my body did not like perm catheters. So they put the catheter in. I was downstairs, and at the time, I hadn't researched hemodialysis. I had only researched peritoneal dialysis, which was through my stomach. So I didn't even know about this blood coming out my body, going to the machine. So I'm downstairs in the dialysis unit. I'm getting dialysis the days that I'm in the hospital. I think I stayed in the hospital for like 2 weeks total at that time. The days and the nights, they just went on by, whatever. Sometimes I had someone at the hospital, sometimes I didn't. There's plenty of hospital visits that I was by myself at the hospital. But you know, sometimes, and I was angry, so angry at so many people because I'm like, why aren't you here? If this was the other way around, I would be there for you. But I had to learn that sometimes God has to get you by yourself. So many nights that I talked to him, so many nights that I prayed, and so many nights where I needed to be by myself. But you know, I wasn't by myself because he was there the whole time. Whew. But I needed to be by myself. So again, started hemodialysis. Finally, April 2010, when I come home, I start the in-center hemodialysis. Whew, that was tricky. That was crazy. Again, like I say, those perm catheters are very prone to infection. I had one here. That one had to be taken out. They would get infected. They tried me on a medication for an antibiotic called vancomycin. Ooh. They put shot vancomycin in, and my whole entire body started burning. It's like a burning itch, and I'm just scratching away. I had a nurse at the unit tell me, "Oh, you don't listen very well. Didn't I tell you not to scratch?" And I'm like, who is she talking to like this? Like at this time, my mind was gone. It was somewhere else. I had to keep praying and asking God to just keep me in my right mind. Please keep me in my right mind. But to be in the headspace I was in, this lady talking to me like this, still did not disrespect her, sucked it up, cried to myself, and kept it moving on. To be talked to like that, I'm like, I'm here to try to get well. I gotta deal with being talked to like that, but that's a whole nother story. Sucked it up, kept going to dialysis. Every time I turned around, I had an infection. Didn't have an infection there, but my catheter would not run with me sitting up. They have you in these recliners. They would always have to pull my recliner all the way back. Well, then they told me, well, they have beds down at another unit, which was in a different city, same state. I was like, okay, started going to that dialysis unit. That was not a good look at all. That unit, they just weren't clean. I kept an infection there. So being that I kept an infection, I would always have to get new catheters. So I ended up with scars here, ended up with scars there, scars, scars, scars. And there's always another scar, another perm catheter. I was tired. I was tired. I was sad. My body was changing. I'm a woman. Like I want to look nice. I want to feel like, you know, but I would look in the mirror and I would feel like my body was like a road map, a puzzle or something. I don't know. That made me so discouraged and it just hurt. I ended up depressed and I didn't know I was depressed. I was the type of person I would never leave the house without everything being 100. Hair had to be right, makeup had to be right, nails, eyebrows, everything had to be right. But I was so depressed, I did not care. I remember cutting off all my hair, and I remember walking into dialysis, and I had a nurse, Miss D, was the very first nurse I had, April 2010. She was such a sweetheart. But when I walked in there, I was so scared. I was in so much pain. My feelings were hurt. And I was depressed. I didn't even know it. But I was. I didn't care. It was whatever. And I had to ask myself, do I want to be here? Yeah, I want to be here. I want to live. I got a daughter to take care of. I had to keep that in mind. So when I go in, I see these people who are missing legs. I see people who are missing arms. I see all these older people. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm only 23 when I got diagnosed. So I guess I'm maybe 24 at this time. Yeah. So I stayed depressed for quite some time, but I still got my butt up. Went into dialysis, did my 3 days. I got transferred to the other one. I would go and I would lay in the bed for 3 hours and 30 minutes, get the dialysis done, get my blood clean. And, you know, you feel a little better when you leave, but you're tired. Go home, rest. So this cycle went on and on and on. Well, then they said, well, Tanisha, we need to start to see if we can get you a fistula in your arm. Well, I'm right-handed, so they started over here on my left. Yeah, I'm showing y'all everything. I'm being very transparent, but it's okay. I'm here. I hope this helps somebody. And I know God gets the glory from it all. But, so they started over here. So by this time, I had already had the peritoneal dialysis surgery. I had my calcium and my potassium. They were kind of fighting each other. So I had a parathyroidectomy. That's a cut up of my neck. Well, then they started working on this arm. Well, at the time, they would work on the arm. I go get a fistula or something put in, or graft or whatever. Get it put in. And after you get it put in, they send you to the access center. You get to the access center, they take a Doppler sonogram to hear it. Every single time. I had 4. By the time I went for my appointment, for them to hear nothing. So here I am with a cut here, cut there, cut, just cut. Nothing was working. Well, we couldn't figure out why. Well, then, that's when we learned that my blood was forming something called sticky platelets. So that's what attacked the kidney March 25th, 2010. So when they learned that, they sent me to a hematologist, which they specialize in blood. Then they started me on an 81 milligram aspirin. I started taking the aspirin daily. And with that, blood flow better so that it wouldn't be so sticky. So I went on and on. Finally, I get everything transferred to Duke. I hate what happened at the other hospital. I get transferred to a different hospital. Start going there and met a wonderful vascular surgeon. And he put a fistula in. Finally, I had a fistula that worked. In the midst of all this and all the transferring, I transferred to a different location to do dialysis at. They had tried to, 2012, they tried to put a graft over here. They sent me to a different hospital. They sent me to this doctor. I will never forget that day. I went that morning. Things seemed to move kind of slow. Wasn't feeling too good. They said found out my potassium was up. Also found out that I was such a hard stick. So anytime they needed to start like an IV or get blood or whatever, it just drove people crazy because they said that my veins were paper thin. They rolled, they collapsed. So with that, it's always difficult to stick me. So I get there that morning, they start everything. They couldn't even do my surgery because they couldn't get me stuck. They finally got blood. They found out my potassium was crazy. So they had to dialyze me first. They dialyzed me, then they did the surgery. By the time I came out of surgery, it was that night. They had stapled all of this. And I went on home that night. Everything was fine. But as the days went on, this arm was like 2 of my thighs. And I'm like, something ain't right. Something isn't right. Well, I check this or check that. I'm like, okay. Well, then I went to the ER. I'm telling them what's going on. I'm telling them I had surgery. I'm telling them like something isn't right. They checking my temperature. Everything seems fine. I'm getting no sign of infection, but my brain telling me like something ain't right. Okay. I go into dialysis. I'm in the bed. Excuse me. Getting dialysis done. Again, I'm telling you, I had all these infections. I had all of these fistulas that have clotted. And I'm like, can I get a break? How much do I have to go through? But at the same time, I'm still saying, God, I thank you. I thank you that I'm here. I thank you that I'm able to raise my child. But the whole time, I just felt horrible because I felt like this is so much. I felt like a burden to my family. I always have, because I'm so used to taking care of me, doing for me, not having to ask anybody for anything. So I go into dialysis one morning. I get in the bed, like, I'm not feeling good, but hey, I gotta do dialysis so I can see if I feel better. Get in there, fall asleep. When I wake up, I am confused. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. And I remember one of the nurses coming to me and she said, Tanisha. I'm like, yeah. Say you had 2 seizures in your sleep. Me? I had a seizure. So I'm like, I have never had a seizure a day in my life. What you mean I had a seizure? It's like you had 2 seizures in your sleep. Oh, well, I guess that's why I'm feeling confused. And like, this is how I felt. I felt like somebody pushed a button and like I needed to be reprogrammed, if that makes sense. Well, nobody called ambulance. Nobody did anything. I left like I normally leave. It's crazy that I even remember this. One of my friends She came, picked me up, took me to the house. I walked up my steps, and I guess I went to sleep after that. I don't even know. So that was that. But nothing sat right with me. I just kept feeling like, get your butt to a different hospital. I had spent 3 nights in the local hospital where I lived. They kept giving me pain meds, but my arm was looking like 2 of my thighs. The staples were about to come out my arm. I had driven back to the doctor who did the surgery. He looked at my arm. Oh, he said, oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, in my heart, I just felt like, oh, no, everything's not fine. I know what I feel like. I go to the doctor. When I get to the doctor, they tell me, oh my goodness, was I Terry? I think I was Tanisha Terry at the time, whatever. Miss Terry. We are so glad that you came when you came. They said we're gonna have to take you back to emergency surgery right away. So I'm sitting here like, huh? I'm like, let me make some calls. They're like, no, we will call as soon as we can. We'll start calling people for you, but you have to go back. You have to have emergency surgery. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, emergency surgery? They're like, yes. If you wouldn't have came here today, you would have lost your arm from here down, or your family would have been planning your funeral. Huh? So again, I'm sitting here. I'm devastated. So I would have lost my arm or my life. I'm like, what? So, like, from then on, I just was so upset. Like, I'm like, these doctors, they don't care. They doing what they got to do, getting paid and keeping it moving. Yeah, it says before you have your surgery, it says that you could, there are risks. There's risks with anything. But for me to almost lose my arm or my life, huh? Well, they take me back. I had the emergency surgery. I had ate food before I went, and I finally understood why they always tell you don't eat. Ended up, as soon as I woke up from the surgery, I was okay. I made it through, but I just started like vomiting or whatever. They kept me. I had to stay in the hospital. I was in the hospital Thanksgiving. When this happened, I think it happened like, it was October 2012. I stayed in the hospital for a very long time. I was even there for Thanksgiving. I was so upset. You know, I understood it was Thanksgiving. I knew people were going to be with family, but I'm like, what about me? My sisters they did come see me. But I never forget, the doctors would come in, they would have to change my arm. And it was like a cut this wide. You could see nothing but pink meat. And I made the mistake of looking down one day when the nurse was changing it. And I saw my bone. I saw my bone in my arm. The human body. Well, they had to, they took gauze, put saline on it, and they would have to pack it. Well, finally it healed, and as you can see, it healed pretty good. Again, another scar. Had all these. Had all the ones on my chest, and I had another one. I think after that, you know, things kind of smoothed out for a little bit. They had smoothed out for a little bit, but then I was at home one afternoon. I was just feeling so bad, and I'm like, what in the world is it? You know, I kept thinking maybe it's a virus. I kept throwing up, kept getting sick. Like, I just didn't know what was going on. Finally, I'm like, okay, take me to the hospital. We get to the hospital. When we get to the hospital, I'm still sick. I can barely keep anything on my stomach. I'm continuously vomiting, and just, it was just crazy. But I would always keep in my mind, regardless of what went on, Lord, I'm gonna still thank you. I'm still gonna praise you in the midst of whatever storm. Because I remember that in his word, you know, he said he would never leave me. So I'm like, okay, God, you said you would never leave me. I know you somewhere in here. So the last thing I remembered of me being in the ER is them telling me that my blood pressure was crazy. My temp was like 101. Well, I didn't remember anything else from ER. I don't remember getting pushed in. I don't remember anything. Next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in ICU. ICU? What's going on? So I'm up. They're like, Miss Terry, calm down, be still. They explained to me, we just wanted to let you know that you have a big mass hanging on your heart. Again, let's go back to these perm catheters. The tip is right by your heart. So they want you to hurry up and get them out. But again, when you get a fistula, these fistulas have to mature. It takes a couple of weeks for them to mature. They give you like a ball to kind of exercise and strengthen everything. Well, that was still, did I have one? I'm not sure if I even had one at the time for it to mature. I just know I had the perm calf and it had to be taken out. I had this big mass just hanging on my heart. So here we go again. I'm back in the hospital. Every time I turned around, I was hospitalized. I was back in the hospital. But still thanking and praising God, because I knew that the average person, they would have took him out. I know I'm special. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I don't say that to be big-headed or anything. God got something special for me. I don't know what it is, but I know he has something special for me. So anyway, I wake up, I'm in ICU. They tell me I'm in ICU, and they also tell me that they have someone on the way to transport me to the university hospital that I was going to at the time. Get there, they put me in ICU still. Stay in ICU, I think like 2 more days. After that, they put me on the floor and they keep a close eye on me. They gave me antibiotics, and they gave me they put me on blood thinners. I think I was on Coumadin. They kept an eye on me, kept an eye on this mass that was hanging on my heart. They said it was like huge. So, and that was called endocarditis. That's another thing. That's another big word for like dialysis patients to kind of look out for. You don't want that to happen. I'm only here because of God's grace, God's mercy, and I got some work to do, and I'm doing part of it now. So this is why I'm telling my story. I know it's a lot, and sometimes I'm like, ooh. When I sit and have to talk about this, because each time I go to the doctor, I have to bring up all of this, I have to tell them all this. It was like, ooh, nothing short of a miracle. That's why my email address is miracle8311, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, I am a miracle. I'm a living testimony, and that's why I don't mind telling anybody. I don't mind the fact that, I have scars and people look and people stare. It used to drive me crazy, but now I'm like, whatever. I'm here. And I thank God I don't look like what I've been through. So that was that part of the story. I'm sorry. Oh. So I stayed in the hospital. The mass finally dissolved, went away. I was doing pretty good. Had to get a couple more of the perm calves. Then finally, it was time for me to be able to use my fistula. And it was a great time, but it was a scary time, because I knew I had to get stuck. I would have to get stuck 2 times. Arterial, venous. But it wasn't just 2 times. It was 2 times, 3 times a week. And I was terrified. So, get out the hospital. I go go back to running in center. Well, this time I'm like, listen, y'all gotta give me from out this clinic. Something ain't right. I can't, just put it all on, that. But, I make sure I do what I'm supposed to. I know I want to be here. Nobody's going to take care of me like I'm going to take care of me. So, again, I've researched everything. I've really started getting into the books and learning as much as I can about my BUN, about my creatinine level, about my KT over V, which tells your adequacy of how well you're getting clean through dialysis. All my stuff was coming back good. Everything was going well. So I'm like, listen, see if y'all can get me back in the clinic that I started in, even though, the lady there didn't know how to talk to me. My feelings was hurt. Plus, I wasn't able to run good. Well, we got a fistula now. Let's see if we can get back in there. They got me back in there. I started running there. I was doing dialysis regular again. Things were going pretty good. But, again, nobody takes care of you like you take care of you. And I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not saying that, it's a bad clinic, but, you taking care of yourself compared to someone else taking care of 12 patients maybe? It's a lot. Well, this is going to be all for today. I will mark exactly where I stopped, and I'll come back for story time part 2. Guys, I hope that I had a doctor's appointment today, so that's where this is coming from. But I hope that everything that I talk about, I hope that I'm able to help somebody. I hope that someone can get some type of help, some type of education from what I'm speaking about, from the fact that I've done all 3 different types of dialysis. I just want to be able to help. I just want to be able to tell my story. I want to be able to get people to understand chronic illness is nothing to play with. It's nothing to play with. When someone says they're tired, they're tired. I know when I say I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm not faking. I'm not, trying to just be lazy. It's not in me to be lazy. It's chronic disease. It's serious. And anybody who deals with this, they will agree. So this is going to be all that I talk about today. I want to go ahead and get this video up. I feel that it's important. God laid it on my heart to go ahead and start sharing my story. So I hope and pray that you guys look at this whole thing. Hope you come back to see the next part. I hope that you subscribe to my channel. Like. And I know today is just different. I'm normally on here cooking. But I felt like, hey, why not let the people in, let them know me, and bring some awareness to kidney disease. That's my main goal with doing my story time about kidney awareness. I know that normally I'm cooking. Normally I'm in the kitchen. We're getting some pots and pans dirty. But today, story time. My next video, if you guys can go ahead and give me some subbies, give me some thumbs up. I'm gonna work on story time part 2. Regardless, I'm gonna work on it anyway. I just feel like the story needs to be heard. I just want to help, and I want people to understand. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. You can live a great life with kidney disease. You just gotta want to live a great life with kidney disease. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Please come back to finish hearing my story. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one.